everybody. So today's flow is inspired by what I would plan to teach at my Brooklyn Boulders Yoga for Climbers class. So in that regard, it is a bit more advanced, but I do always try to make sure that my flows are somewhat accessible for most individuals. So what I would encourage is to grab yourself a couple props. I recognize that blocks are not easily accessible for everybody, so if you have them, grab two. If that's not an option, we're getting a little creative here. We can find a few, we'll say cookbooks. And cookbooks just because they're a little bit more hardy, a little bit bigger on the surface. And ideally, if you can have a plethora of them, maybe even like 5 or so to give you some height. If that's not available, my other creative option today is to grab a toolbox because it is hard enough that you can sit yourself on top of if needed. So go ahead and kind of like think about what you have around the house. Hit pause, go ahead and find it. And the last thing I should actually note is we're going to use a strap. So my strap today is just a belt. You can also use a towel or a pair of pants, anything that's kind of sturdy enough just to grab onto. So go ahead and gather your props and I will meet you right back here when you're ready. All right, welcome back. So with our props, we're going to start with our strap, keeping in mind that we are sitting upon the floor. So if you have a block or a book or a toolbox, you might want to sit yourself on top of it just to make this position feel more accessible or comfortable. And I know that this might be the more challenging part of our practice, but I am going to encourage you to just settle in for a moment, to ask your arms to be heavy, whether they're next to you or inside your lap. Then let's give ourselves the opportunity to close our eyes, to just let our focus turn inwards to the best of our ability. Kind of noticing our facial features. We might ask our jaw to relax. We'll ask our eyebrows to soften. Without worrying about your posture, just go ahead and offer yourself a few breaths in and out. Just kind of recognizing if your breaths feel challenging, if they feel somewhat disrupted or rhythmic perhaps. We'll start to just go ahead and blink our eyes back open to the physical space that surrounds us. So I do want to do a little bit of warm up for today's practice. So we're not going to be using the arms too much, but I do want to get them woken up. So we're going to grab our strap and just hold on to it about shoulders width distance apart. You can give it a nice little tug, right, kind of creating some tension there and asking our muscles to then engage or react and respond. And so just by holding the strap, can you encourage, say, a few rounds of breath here? And keep trying to tug that strap apart, see if we can't float our arms up overhead. And with those arms high, go ahead and shrug your shoulders up towards your ears. And see if you can use your muscles to pull them all the way down your back. And as we're going to ask the shoulders to shrug up. And we want to use our muscles to depress or pull them down our back. And we'll do that one more time. The shoulders go up and the shoulders go down. And let's go ahead and re-lower that strap halfway. Talking to our wrist, can you let your knuckles roll down towards the floor? And it's kind of holding that stretch on the top side of our wrist. Take a breath in and out. And see if you can't let the knuckles go up towards the ceiling. And try that a couple of times. The knuckles go down and the knuckles go up. So we'll do it one last round. Knuckles go up, knuckles go down. Right, flipping the orientation, can your palms flip up towards the sky? Right, still holding onto the strap, give it a little tug apart. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna reach our arms up overhead. Right, noticing that you may not have the same range. See if we can't shrug our shoulders up, up, up. Then encourage them to go down, down, down. I'll try that one more time. They go up, and they go down. Re-parallel the arms towards the floor. Right, again, same thing. We ask our knuckles to go down. Encouraging a breath in and out. Being mindful this round not to let the elbows bend as we try to rotate the knuckles back up towards the sky. So we'll do it again. The knuckles go down, and the knuckles go up. And you'll notice that the elbows will want to come in and help you out. Again, just try to encourage them to be as straight as they can so that we are primarily isolating that movement into our wrists. Let's try one more round. And we'll give those wrists and arms a break as we toss that strap off to the side. If you're parked on top of a prop like myself, you're gonna go ahead and remove that. And I'm actually gonna have us lay down on our side. So from here, you can come down onto your back. We'll start by planting our feet. And I just immediately want us to roll off towards one side. So I'm gonna say my right hand side. My underarm is gonna become somewhat of a pillow. My top hand becomes an anchor point, so I'm pressing that right in front of my chest or my torso. Speaking to the hips here, can we encourage our top leg to lift up off our bottom leg? Meanwhile, the heel is going to pull all the way towards our butt as close as it can go. Holding that position, let's pull the knee towards our belly. Then think of floating the knee up towards the ceiling. Send that knee towards the back wall behind you and down. So essentially all I want you to do is try and create this nice big circular movement with that top leg. Trying to articulate as much movement as we can in all of its ranges here with our top hip joint, the area where our upper leg bone meets our pelvis. And we'll say for good measure, let's go ahead and reverse that direction. And still trying to pull the heel towards our butt. Still trying to articulate a sense of movement, using our knee perhaps as the guide. Now, while we're here, let's send that top leg long down our mats. Moving in what we would call the frontal plane, can we lift that leg up? Take a moment to pause here and kind of feel the stretch. Encourage some breath. And let that top leg start to lower. And then you're going to move at whatever rhythm or tempo works best for you. As we opt to lift, then lower that top leg. And we can always check in. Sometimes we notice that the leg tries to move forwards. See if you can imagine that your heel is running up and down a wall behind you. Let's go ahead and try one more. And then let that top leg rest. Draw the knee in towards the chest, and I'm going to swap sides. And just so in an effort for you to see me, I'm going to roll myself over. And so we're on our second side here. We think top arm becomes our anchor point, bottom arm becomes that uncomfortable pillow. We're talking to our second side, just asking that top leg to lift, driving heel towards our butt, and seeing we can't articulate a bit of circular movement here. Encouraging that range to be pain-free. So if we need to, those circles can absolutely become a little bit smaller. Let's see if we can't swap the sides or switch the direction. Then we can check in, trying to make sure there's minimal movement through the torso, minimal movement through the pelvis, minimal movement through the bottom leg. When you feel like you've had enough, let's go ahead and reach that top leg long. And see if we can't lift it up first. Take a moment's pause. And we'll get to lower and lift. Using all of our lateral hip muscles. Noticing if that leg wants to come forward. See if you can keep kind of pushing it straight back behind you the best that you can. Go ahead and do one last round. Let that top leg rest. Pull the knee in towards the belly. And from here, let's go ahead and push ourselves up tall just to rearrange ourselves into a tabletop position. From the tabletop, we can articulate just a few rounds of movement through the spine, connecting to our cat-cows, or ideally any intuitive like movement. Kind of noticing the connection of the fingertips, the palms, feel the knees, the feet, recognizing how this is a fairly stable position with all 6 points of contact made on the surface of our mat. I really like to play around with the effort involved, which is where I'm going to have us come back to our neutral position, and challenging our shape as we tuck our toes under, spread our fingers nice and wide, and see if we can't once again just ask our knees to hover, recognizing if that is too much, we always give ourselves permission to decrease the effort physically. And if you have your knees up or down, I just want you to check in with the breath. You're noticing how the shape has changed physically. We'll start to rock hips towards heels and then straighten out both of our legs. And I'm going to immediately ask us to walk our feet off our mat. So it's a nice wide position. And see if we can't give a little pedal out to our legs here. And just kind of redistributing our weight more to the back body. We'll start to soften our knees and think of sending our hips backwards. Less weight on the wrist, which gives us more access to walk those hands towards our feet. You're essentially walking them as far as you can. We'll ask our heels to, at a certain point, anchor down, encourage a forward fold. That forward fold can have opposite elbow with opposite hand, the arms can dangle, or if you'd like some support, maybe they press into the floor. Give yourself that freedom to explore the shape. Just kind of recognizing how it feels for you. Keep those wide legs. Find soft knees so that we can push down through our heels to help us come all the way up tall to stand. Talking to our right leg, can you pivot the right toes towards the right side of the room? And with that, we are going to bend into that right knee. So we essentially have a shortened variation of a warrior two. From here, can we continue to bend into that right leg and then pull back? So think of guiding your knee over your toes and kind of tugging that knee back over the ankle. And kind of gliding it in place a few times. If that feels okay, we might even rearrange the position. Maybe we ask our toes to pivot more towards the front of our mat and still continue that sort of gliding of the leg. Stepping outside of that neutral position that our bodies are very well versed in. Maybe we pivot the toes closer towards the back edge of our mat. And I always want you to take responsibility, so if something doesn't feel good, you always can go ahead and nix it. And we'll slowly let that toe kind of find our quote-unquote neutral position. Now we're going to talk to our second leg, that being our left leg here. Currently, hips are pointing forward, and I want them to pivot to face the right side, encouraging more work through that back leg. We're going to lift our left heel up off the floor. We're going to notice the balance. Pivot on the pad of your foot. Shift your whole left hip off to the right. See if you can bend that back knee. I want you to go as low as you feel comfortable. And then we're going to go right back up. Pivot the heel, come back to that shortened variation of a warrior two. We're going to try that again. The left heel lifts. Pivot on the pad of the foot. Shift hips and leg. Bend that back knee. Get as low as you can. And then come back to that shortened variation of a warrior two. We're going to try that one more time. Left heel lifts. Pivot on the pad of the foot. Let the whole left side body pivot to face the right. Bend back knee to any degree. Come back up. Shorten warrior two. Straighten out that right leg. Pivot right foot forwards. Kind of pedal out the legs. Take a little mini reset here. And then we'll take it to our second side. So now we want to think left toes pivot to face the left side wall. Left knee bends. We have that shortened variation of our warrior two. Right, can we glide that left leg? The knee kind of goes past the toes and comes back. Always moving within that range that we feel comfortable in. Maybe we veer a bit away from neutral. We can pivot our toes to face more the front edge of our mat. Still gliding that knee over the toes. Maybe we pivot toes towards the back edge of our mat. Maybe got little obstacles in your way like I do here. And then we want to come back to shorten warrior two. Talking to our right leg here, we want to lift our back heel. Notice how the balance changes, right? Our effort has increased. Think of it as we're moving a point of contact from the surface. Right hip pivots to the left. Bend your back knee, go down as low as you feel comfortable, knowing that we have to come back up into our shortened warrior two. Two more times. Right heel lifts. Pivot right side body. Bend that knee. Come back up. Shorten warrior two. Last round, back heel lifts. Pivot, pivot, pivot. Bend, bend, bend. Come back up tall. Warrior two. Straighten front leg. Left toes pivot to face the front. Let's take those arms up overhead. Fold ourselves forward and see if we can't walk our hands out to a wide-legged downward facing dog. From down dog, can we rock our shoulders over our wrists and find our wide-legged plank? Let your left toes find the mat, right toes find the mat. Hold for a breath in and out. Downward facing dog. Down dog, we're going to take a moment to bend our knees, drawing our knees down to the mat. And coming into a sitting position. From here, I do want us to gather our props. So it's either going to be 1 to 2 blocks, getting our creative prop perhaps, which would be our toolbox or our books. And I just encourage them to Let's place them at the back edge of our mat and off to the back corner, which if I were to mirror you, I have absolutely no idea where that would be. So think back edge of our mat, potentially left corner. Right, we'll leave it there. I'm gonna have us come back into our tabletop, tucking our toes. May we encourage that increased effort by lifting our knees. Downward facing dog. And if your prop is somewhat in your way, just kind of move around it. Noticing our 4 points of contact here. See if we can maintain, we'll say, that equal distribution of weight, even when we ask our left leg to go high. Oftentimes when we move a limb, we're going to want to shift our weight to the right. So encourage the left palm to glue heavy. And take a big breath in and out. And can we lift our right heel up off the floor, encouraging the weight to slightly shift forward. From there, we'll bend left knee, pull thigh into the belly, and go ahead and step your foot forward. And never hesitate to adjust your positioning. That could be trying to walk hands further back. That could be walking back foot backwards. Maintaining what we would call our runner's lunge. Let that front foot be heavy and encourage that back leg to be there for a sense of support. Right, we want to increase the effort here. So we're going to find tented fingertips. Now there's less support from the upper body, more strength and engagement through the legs. Can we hold and release fingertips? Take them back behind us. Take a big breath in and out. And see if we can't come up tall into Anjaneyasana. Right, checking in. If you feel a little wobbly like myself, maybe we step that back foot forward. Fancy footwork. We're going to ask that back heel to lift, giving us our pivot point to guide us into warrior number 2. Right, finding the similarities where we were at the back edge of our mat. Can we do the same thing? Can we lunge a bit further, a bit deeper? Maybe fully straighten out that leg. Doing my best to demo and talk at the same time is not so easy. Let's go ahead and give one more bend. We're going to fully straighten out that left leg and ask our arms to hang heavy. Fancy footwork. Let your left toes lift. Pivot them to face me. And so now I've got both feet pointing forwards. Equal weight on both legs. Let's take a breath in and out. Right arm goes high. And I want us to shift more weight to that right foot of ours, which might mean we try to lift our left heel up off the mat. Glide left toes in until you feel like you can crunch elbow towards thigh. Right, wiggly and wobbly, but let's see if we can't step that left foot nice and wide. Once again, we'll try that again. We'll shift the weight to the right. Left heel lifts. And we can glide that left toes in. Thigh towards elbow, crunch. Let's find one last wide stance. Taking our time to get there. Left heel lifts. We feel the weight shift. Glide the toes in. Thigh towards belly. Elbow towards thigh. Can we hold and reach that left leg long? Finding Utthita Hasta Padangustasana. Maybe our 2 fingers grab our big toe, encouraging our left arm to take us into a bit of a twist. And recognizing that it is a fairly challenging position to balance in, we can always release our fingertips. We can always keep that knee bent. Wiggles and wobbles occur. No judgment, no expectations. Let your body learn without finding it frustrating. Let's pivot our torso to face center. And I have two options here. You're either going to kick that left leg out, and recognizing your capabilities, you're going to decide either a pistol squat down to the floor from here, or if that is not accessible for you, step your left foot forward. Can we bend our back knee and slowly let that come down to the mat? Hands on the floor if we need an assist to lift that right knee up in order to shift our hips backward. Hands walk towards our back foot. From here we can decide if we want to sit ourselves on top of our creative props, which I'm going to do for this first round. Then essentially we're going to come back and just have that long left leg. Maintaining this position, two hands are going to press down into the floor if we can, and giving us that little bit of an anchor point, that sense of stability as we talk to that left leg of ours. Working within an active range. I just want to see, can we lift that left leg up off the floor? And noticing what we're experiencing and the challenges of maintaining our breath throughout it. Let's let that left leg come down, give it a nice little shake out. I'm going to try that again. Can we lift the left leg? Breathe, 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 and notice what we're experiencing, how the mind and body both like to react. And then offer it back down, give it a little shake out. Perhaps we try to lift, send off to the left, and lower. Can we do that a couple of times? This might even be closer to the floor, and that's okay. We're all working within our own range that our bodies are willingly offering us. Nice, let's tap it back to center. Pause. Turning this into our seated figure four, which I am inspired to use thanks to my friend Alexis, 4 Acres Yoga. We're going to lift that left leg and see if we can't park it on top of our right thigh. And if you feel the need to, you can walk that right foot out. We can hold here. We can add some lovely movement to our ankle joint. We can wiggle our toes. Yeah, but now let the muscles do a little bit more work on their own. So we're going to think, can I keep this left leg exactly as it is, knowing that it is going to move? So we're going to think, can I keep pulling my left thigh in towards my chest and my belly while I now ask my right leg to glide out, out, out? And you'll notice our active range is very different than that passive range that we just had it in. Think of it as a variation of a pigeon pose. Okay, so we're still trying to pull that left thigh up and in. Encourage a round or two of breath. And it's sitting with the sensations, encouraging ourselves to feel, right, but recognizing when we need to decrease effort. Now let's take that left leg and swing it off to the left. We'll start with a little stretch here as we fold our way forward. We can reach for our right toes. Maybe our hands come closer towards the floor and our hips. Let's see if we can walk our left hand closer towards our left leg. And now asking our right arm to reach up and over. Right arm takes you up into a tall sitting position. Right foot steps itself back to where we started. Think close towards your hip and your prop. Right, from here, I want you to dial in your left foot. So think the big toe starts to press down. We're going to lean our way forward. A couple options. We can forego any assist of hands, or we can use the assist of hands. Essentially, we want to lift our hips up. And I'll do it the assist here first. We want to lift our hips up and glide ourselves into a wide-legged forward fold. In our wide-legged, we can encourage any little bit of exploration, of intuitive movement. Front toes, left toes are going to pivot forward. Our hands are going to follow. Think of a runner's lunge. Right heel lifts up towards the sky. See if we can't plant two hands down. Step our left foot back, push that prop off of our mat, and take a downward facing dog. And from our down dog, let's go ahead and once again lift our heels to tap our knees. But this round, let's connect to our child's pose. Maybe let our hips gently rock from left to right. Maybe our forehead does the same. And giving ourselves permission to rest. Not because we're fatigued, not because we're tired, but just learning the art of guilt-free rest. Hang out here as long as you'd like, hitting pause on the video if you need to. Then we'll see if we can't work our way back up when we're ready. What we want to do is we want to encourage our arms to walk as far up our mat as they can go, intensifying that stretch sensation. Imagine the palms are glued in place and you're pulling the mat towards you. You want to use that pulling connection to pull our torso up into a tabletop. And from our tabletop, readjust hands and knees as needed. Let your toes tuck under. Downward facing dog. We're going to come to our second side here. So I just want you to first feel the connection of all four anchor points. Try to maintain that integrity of your down dog even when we ask our right leg to go high. With that right leg high, can we lift our left heel up to feel that weight shift forward? Bend our back knee, pull the thigh to the belly, step it forwards. Right, finding our runner's lunge. Perhaps we have two palms pressing down. We have quite a bit of support. Let's see if we can challenge that through tented fingertips. Strong legs. Maybe we even think of squeezing a block between our two thighs. And we'll ask our hands to go backwards. And recognizing how the effort has increased. Strong legs. And we'll come up tall to our crescent lunge Anjaneyasana. Giving yourself permission to rearrange or readjust as you deem necessary. And we'll think back heel lifts, pivoting open, warrior number 2. Mimicking that front side, can we lunge a bit deeper, and then straighten out that front leg. And I'm now recognizing that if I were to do this side, you would not be able to see me. So, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to step myself forward, and then I'm just going to swap sides. So I'm finding my warrior 2 with my right foot forward. My right foot forward. So here I am, right? We're mimicking that same movement, lunging and straightening. Perhaps pivoting the toes, encouraging the knee to then follow. Connecting to any angle that you'd like. This round I'm going to demo no props, but they are always, always welcome. And just we're going to think, can we straighten out that right leg? Pivot right toes to face forward. We're going to notice the equal weight between both feet as we reach that left arm high. We want to shift our center of mass off to the left. So that right heel's going to lift. Maybe that left knee bends as we glide right toes so that our thigh can pull up and in towards our belly. Taking our time as we try our best to step it nice and wide. Again, that right heel lifts. We glide the toes up, 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 and in. And we step wide. Final round. This time we want to see if we can't hold. Accompanied by all those wiggles and wobbles. And we are human. We are absolutely going to feel the communication of our muscles. Hold here. Find Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. 2 fingers on your big toe. Maybe we try to reach that leg out. If that's too much, go ahead and release or bend your knee. Notice that standing leg. Keep firmly pressing down to the heel. Let's rotate the right arm and torso towards center. Okay, 2 options here. Extend the right leg. And if you need to, I'm going to go over the first option first. Step right foot forward. Bend your back knee. Let it come down. Shift the hips backward. Take your time, planting hands, lifting hips, and sending it back. Okay, so we're essentially in the seated variation of our pistol squat. For those of you who'd like, I should have said this first, go ahead and do your pistol squat all the way down, down, down to the floor. Okay, proper, no proper, sitting on top of. Hands are going to connect to the floor next to us or behind us, depending upon how much space we feel we need. And we're talking that right leg of ours. We lift our right heel up and let it come down. More active work because we're not using the assist of our hands, we're not using the assist of a strap. We encourage our muscles to truly do all of this work. So I think of lifting it up and letting it come down. Right, we can always stick with this, or we can lift, send it off to the right, so we're veering away from that neutral position. Breathe, 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 and notice what you're feeling, right? A little shakiness in that leg. We'll come back to center, pause, shake it out. Hands might walk a little bit further back as we try to take that right leg on top of our left thigh. Rolling out the ankle. Okay, so this is our passive position. That left thigh is guiding this right leg close towards our belly, holding that stretch for us. And if we were to encourage the muscles to do the work, we want to think, can I glue this right thigh as close to my belly as I can, even when I try to release that left leg of mine? And then we get to see the difference between our passive range and our active range. So we'll just think, can I swing my right leg out? We'll come towards our left foot first. Finding a stretch where the hands can touch the toes, whether they're framing that leg, walking closer towards our hips. And see if we can't walk our hands over towards our right leg. Let our left arm take us up and over. And noticing a side stretch and see if we can expand by way of our breath, letting that rib cage inflate and deflate. Top arm takes us up tall. Now it's our left foot that's going to come in. Okay, Again, a couple options here. We can forego any assistive hands. We can use the assistive hands. We're going to try not rock our weight forward onto that left leg. Right foot's going to anchor, and we're going to take our time coming up into our forward fold. From our forward fold, it's our right toes that pivot to the front edge of our mat. Our hands walk, walk, walk. They frame that front foot. Left hip, left heel lifts up, and we're in our runner's lunge. Two hands touch down. Right foot steps back, high plank, downward facing dog. And from our down dog, go ahead and tap our knees down to the mat, rearranging our way onto our backs. I'll let you get there however it is the easiest for you. And let's just say once we're down on our backs, if you have the space, maybe reach your legs long and your arms up overhead, mimicking that nice good morning stretch. Let's see if we can't relax our arms back down beside us. I'm going to have you bend your knees to park your feet. I want you to see if you can walk your feet any closer to the top edge of your mat so that your feet are further away from your body. With that, we're going to ask our low back to start pressing down into the floor, creating that posterior pelvic tilt. With our low back pressing, can we see if we can lift up just our hips, which is going to be a very minimal range of movement. It's so small you might not even notice if you're lifting your hips up. And so think of pressing low back in and just trying to lift your hips. Think of where your pockets are. You get that area right up off the floor. Holding and just noticing where you start to feel some sensation. Right, with our legs a little bit longer, we're encouraging more work throughout the hamstrings, think the back of your thighs, as well as your glutes, your butt muscles. And we'll go ahead and let those hips come back down. We're going to do it again where we press low back into the floor. See if we can lift just our hips up off the mat. Sealing our lips, take a breath in, and a long sighing breath out. Try a couple more just like that. And I'll go ahead and let those hips rock down. Maybe the legs gently sway themselves from side to side. And sort of ending our practice in Supta Baddha Konasana. Let the knees, when you're ready, come back through center. Ask the soles of the feet to press while the knees knock outwards. Perhaps one hand upon the belly, opposite hand upon your heart. Just kind of listening, feeling that stimulus, or that tactile stimulus of your own breath and heart beating. If it's too challenging to go inwards, you might just notice all the sounds that you hear surrounding you within your own space, in your apartment, your home, your office, wherever you are. Providing yourself with just a sense of presence. Perhaps there's one final breath in which you pause at the peak, noticing that inflation, that space of your breath, and then exhaling every ounce of that air. Hold out the legs together, pull the thighs in towards the belly like a big old bear hug here. Maybe there's some gentle rocking from side to side. You just get to roll over to either the right or the left. Asking your top hand to merely assist you up into any tall sitting position. And just how we have done in our previous classes together, we'll pause together with our hands anchored right at our heart center. Eyes open or close, but just pausing, slowing down as we give ourselves thanks for taking the opportunity to carve out some self-care time, regardless of what it may have looked like. Get a little bow down together to say thank you. See you guys soon.